Your question, the member from Lambton, Kent, Middlesex.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And my question is for the Premier. Today, Premier, you're closing slots at Fort Erie, the slots at Hiawatha, and at Windsor Raceway, mothballing hundreds of jobs and putting families into distress. Earlier this month, the MPP from Niagara West was to hand-deliver to you a proposal on behalf of the town of Fort Erie and the Fort Erie Environment Consortium. These organizations want to take over and operate the slots facility instead of closing it, saving approximately 300 jobs at Fort Erie's largest employer. Premier, did Kim Crater even bother showing you the proposal? Did you consider it? And why will you not give the private sector a chance?
A reminder for everyone, including those that use first names or whatever, that we refer to everyone by their title or by their seat. Premier.
Speaker of the Minister of Finance.
Finance.
Mr. Speaker, earlier in question period, the opposition said we should follow Drummond. We are closing those slots, getting rid of it. That was one of Drummond's recommendations. You can't have it both ways. You can't say do Drummond and do as the Conservative finance critics said, and called the Drummond report a sham the day it was introduced. Mr. Speaker, there are difficult choices to be made. The $345 million a year subsidy to horse racing across Ontario is not a good use of public tax dollars, Mr. Speaker. It is the right move to make. Our priorities remain health care and education. We are going to move forward on those files as we move back to balance. And, Mr. Speaker, these choices are difficult, but they're important for a better future for all Ontarians.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Well, Speaker, back to the Premier. Your recent budget will single-handedly close the slots at the Fort Erie racetrack, putting 300 people out of work and closing the single largest employer in Fort Erie. Likewise in Sarnia, another 140 jobs out the door.
The opposition come to order. I have to hear the question.
Passing of your budget. Over 500 families thrown into disruption and chaos, joining the over 600,000 Ontario men and women already out of work in Dalton McGuinty's Ontario. Premier, why did you force your MPPs from Windsor West and Niagara Falls to vote against their constituents and vote against keeping jobs in their community by forcing them to support your job-killing budget?
Terrible.
Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, in fact, the member from Niagara Falls met with both the Premier and I with respect to that proposal. So the premise of your question is wrong. Mr. Speaker, in fact, Mr. Speaker, this government's priorities remain the economy, health care and education, Mr. Speaker. The member opposite voted against his constituents when he voted against the Southwest Ontario Economic Development Fund. Mr. Speaker, we choose to invest in health care. In Windsor, Sarnia and Fort Erie, more than 80 new doctors in 8 years. Since
the member from Bruce Grey Owen Sound is now warned. Minister.
2003, 375 new teachers in Windsor, 201 in Sarnia, 382 in Fort Erie. Health care and education are his priorities. It's a difficult choice, Mr. Speaker. You can't continue to subsidize the international horse racing industry.
The question, the member from Hamilton East.